Welcome back to Gut Feelings Life Unfiltered. So today we are talking about boundaries.
Mm.
Again, I think for
I
the second time.
I think that we talk about boundaries all the time,
We do.
but we do, this is a whole episode devoted to it.
I mean, yeah, and I think it's important because it's like one of those words that people don't fully understand. Um it's people think that a boundary is something that like the other person can't step over the line. You know, you're like, this is my boundary. Don't step over this line. But it's actually the other way around. It's like us not stepping over the line. I don't know if I'm explaining it.
Yeah, like it's it's if you let them know when you do. I don't know why we're struggling with boundaries today. Are we struggling
Because
with
it's
this?
something we struggle with every
I
day.
think that's like the funny
It's a
thing.
struggle.
Because I think when I first learned about boundaries, yes, exactly. Like it was like, do not do this or I will do that, whatever. And it's like if you tell them, you could tell them or not tell them, but when they do it, you choose a path. You
Yeah.
choose a reaction. You choose an action. They don't have to do anything. If they choose not to do it, you say, I will remove myself when you bring up this subject.
Mhm.
I will remove myself if you cross this line with my son. It's on you.
Yeah, something that we establish for ourselves.
Yes. So this distinction changes everything because a boundary is you are not allowed. You're no longer allowed to do this. It sounds more like if this happens, this is how I will respond.
Mm-hmm.
So the other person still has free will. And I feel like they may not agree with this boundary.
Yeah.
And they may actually hate it. They may even continue doing the exact same motherfucking behavior we asked them not to do. But then we have the responsibility to follow through with the action we said we would take.
Yeah.
That's on us. That's so hard.
Yeah. And that's what we often miss. I mean, like we think that setting a boundary means announcing, hey, like this is my boundary. But the boundary is not only what we say, guys. The boundary is what we do next.
And it can feel so uncomfortable. So, I mean, when I see a person out there just making boundaries and just following through and then feeling nothing after, I'm like, oh my God, you are
just a badass.
I know. I feel like we have one patient that I won't obviously name her name, but she does that. And I'm like, you need to write a book. Like, how do you not feel? I'm so codependent, So yeah, boundaries are really, for me, especially if they're uncomfortable. For people pleasers, for the perfectionist people, like we know a lot of them, we are them, and women who have learned to maintain connection by staying agreeable. Like we learned as kids that it's best to fall kind of on the sword or to mold to the adults because that's how we felt safe is to be easy for them or to learn that we need to accommodate them over accommodating our own feelings.
Yeah.
And so that was just this process that's learned. And I'm not saying that as like we are a victim of our parents. I'm just saying that as like the truth of the nature of how most of us were raised.
Yeah.
We've
lived that way for so long.
Yeah.
So it's like ingrained in our nervous system where it's like when we do set a boundary and it's so foreign, it's so new, the nervous system is the thing that like shuts us down. Like, oh my God, this is not safe for you to set this boundary. They're not going to like you. Abort, go back to the way you were. And let's just soften that boundary a little bit because this feels so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, I think about like in the different experiences I've had, like with doctors, right? Like when I'm in a doctor's office and they tell me something and they're like either gaslighting me or, I don't know, name the things that I've shared that I've experienced. And so you had, Dr. Jen, like these different experiences and like the times where I'm like, why didn't I just like get up and leave? Like, that's my boundary.
Yeah.
Like if that person, first off, gaslighting is one of the seven, what is it? Like the 7 signs of verbal abuse is gaslighting. So if somebody is verbally abusing you, you can make that choice. Like, I'm not participating in that. You should get up and leave. They don't even have to know that you're not going to accept verbal abuse. But once that is starting to happen, like I think back and like there's more times than not that I'm like, I freeze and I go into my nervous system just overrides any kind of intellect or anything that I even like preach on this podcast. But rewiring your brain to be super observant and like in your body in those moments is so crucial.
Yeah. It's so weird because boundaries, they require us to tolerate the possibility that somebody may misunderstand us. And like for me, that's like one of these deep beliefs and subconscious things is like I don't want to be misunderstood. And it is tricky because it's like I think a lot of these like nervous system patterns and traits are tied together so much where the boundary piece almost goes against like the codependency, like you said, the people pleasing, like being misunderstood, like all of these things, like appeasing other people, putting ourselves last, like almost being like a martyr, whatever we do to ourselves. And like the boundary piece just feels so intense. Like I'm not gonna lie, like it's still something like every day, and I'm observing like what comes up inside of me when I do set a boundary for myself, because I would be quick to I'm setting that boundary for myself, like you said, like at the doctor's office, walk out. But honestly, I at that point would self-abandon because I'm like, oh, that's so rude. I can't just like walk out. I probably waited for this appointment for 10 years and now I'm here. So let me just stick it out. But it's like in that moment, you also can't self-abandon. You have to be the one that sticks to the boundary that you set for yourself.
Okay, so can I share a story of a dynamic between us? We've never talked about this.
Okay.
But it's where I set a boundary and it made you uncomfortable, and it wasn't between us, but can I share?
Yeah, okay. What is this?
We were in Mexico on a retreat for functional medicine, and the people were going around and they were like, you need to do a you need to do a recording. You need to do a testimonial for this doctor. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. And you were like, Melissa, stop it. You were like, Melissa, you have to do. And I was like, and I was just straight up. I was like, I'm like, I'm an adult and I get to decide.
I feel like
do you remember that?
At that seminar, you were very like, no. A lot of things. You're like, I'm not doing that.
Nope.
Like, I think I went to like this an extra like talker or speaker like late at night.
Oh no, and he ended up being a fucking creep, man.
It was, but like I always have FOMO, and you're like, nope, not doing it. I don't like. You did not care that like I was going. You're like, I'm doing what's best for me, and which was amazing. Like you had these boundaries that you stood by,
and I don't. That was an exceptional week of me creating boundaries. I did not feel well. Remember, I was like. I was in like a major fight or flight, like nervous system, just like craziness. And so I had to like, no matter what, I had a lot of encounters leading up to that trip that were like crazy and just shocking. And I won't even share, but it was just a lot. And then when I got there and I was like, nobody will fucking tell me what to do. Because I will rage. And I just remember like saying like, no, I'm an adult and I choose no. And that they couldn't process like that I said no. Like I remember the person was like, oh, what? And then just like, Melissa, you have to do it. I'm like, get the fuck. Anyways, I don't do that all the time. But in that week,
you were like strong on these boundaries.
Not this week, Satan.
Oh my. Well, okay, let's talk about what a boundary actually is.
Yes,
I mean, there is, again, like we think we know what it is, but it is a boundary is a limit that protects your physical, emotional, relational, financial, sexual, or energetic well-being. So for you, like there was probably one of those things that was like, you're like, nope, that's my boundary. But it helps define where you and another person begin. So you have that fine line, like this is me, that is you, and it clarifies what belongs to you and what belongs to them.
Yes, and I want to reiterate the fact that like your boundary doesn't have to make sense to that person. Like my boundary in that week in that retreat like did not make sense to anybody, but I could not give anybody anything else that week. I was there physically and that's all I could give. But I don't have to explain myself or anyway, so like I want to reiterate like it can be crazy to the other person. Yeah. But your emotions belong to you and then their emotions belong to them. And
I like that so much. Yeah. Because I feel like that's where my line drawn in the sand gets crossed all the time because I have felt like other people's emotions are my responsibility, which
Right.
is
That's called codependency.
very, yes, very much
And
so.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I like totally understand. Like
Yeah.
I see it in myself when I'm treating patients. I think you see it in me when you hear me with patients. You're like, you're taking on too much, Melissa.
Yeah.
So, but your choices belong to you. Your choices, and then their choices belong to them. Like
Yeah.
what they decide to do with that information.
Mhm.
But you can care about how someone feels. You can still have empathy
Yeah.
without assuming responsibility for regulating every feeling they experience. I like the word regulating in that sentence because it's like we are responsible for regulating our own nervous system. How in hell can you regulate your own? Now, like when you're raising children, you have to help regulate your children because they don't know how yet.
Yeah.
And this is this is why parenting as a codependent feels impossible sometimes. But we're not talking about parenting today. But that is a separate piece of this. But yeah, we can't regulate another person's nervous system.
Yeah. And like you said, like I think where it feels so foreign is when you still want to be empathetic, you still want to be like considerate, you
Yeah.
still want to be your loving person and still have these boundaries and not feel responsible and not be codependent. Um and like it's almost like my mind struggles with this back and forth. Like how can I be both? But that's where the boundary piece is healthy because you can have healthy boundaries that include the empathy, include the way that you are. Like you don't change who you are, be your loving, wonderful, beautiful self,
Mm-hmm.
but don't allow other people's shit. That's what I'm working on. Other people's shit to become your shit.
Yeah. It's really hard to know. But okay, so let's talk about a request, a boundary, and an ultimatum. Like these are very distinctive, different verbs, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Or so a request would be, would you please call before coming over? You are asking another person to change their behavior. A
Mhm.
boundary is, if you come over without calling, I may not answer the door. Doesn't that feel so bad, Jen?
Yeah.
Because like, and
I'm
that's
like,
such a bad, like, I feel like that example kind of sucks because it's like,
because I will answer.
I will answer. So the boundary describes what you will do. The request says you're asking another person to change a behavior, like you're requesting, like, please stop acting like that. Please don't do that again. Please park in this parking spot. Like, please, whatever. This is a request.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then we have a boundary. And now an ultimatum is, it's often like more pressure. It's like threatening. It's to control a person. You better stop doing this or else.
Mm-hmm.
But context and obviously intention matter. So sometimes people label a legitimate safety boundary as an ultimatum because they don't like the consequence.
Interesting.
Oh, okay, yeah, right? Like I'm trying to think of an example. But like if you tell a boundary to an unhealthy, emotionally unstable human being or emotionally unintelligent human being, they're going to hear like a threat.
Yes.
So think about like the unhealthy people in your life, and you were just to say, if you bring this up again, I'm going to have to leave the conversation. That unhealthy person, like a healthy person's going to be like, oh wow,
Yeah.
of course. Like thank you. Honestly, thank you for telling me
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't even know I crossed a line, and I love you so much, and I want to know
Yeah.
when I do. An unhealthy person is going to be aggressive. They're going to be defensive, and they're going to be abusive. Verbally abusive.
And in my mind, like that's where it goes. Every time I see myself setting a boundary, feel so uncomfortable, and I see the other person responding in the worst of ways. So it makes me shut down.
Well, because we've had unhealthy people in our life and we have tried to set boundaries that don't go well at an early age. And yeah, but if somebody were to create a boundary with you, how do you think you would respond? With some,
I think it would really make me stop and think like, wow,
yeah,
oh my God, I'm so like, yeah, I'm so sorry. Jesus.
I know. Cause I think
I,
of like different things that we've gone through. Like I never felt like you were defensive or aggressive.
well, thank you.
Yeah. Like you're a healthy minded person. So you should expect that and I should expect that in response too.
I guess that's a good lesson. We all should expect this from
Yeah.
the people that we have relationships with
Yeah.
because, yeah. But it is interesting because when you were talking about like the different, the ultimatums, the boundaries, like I I do like you're almost like setting an intention for the other person,
Hmm.
almost like so they know what to expect. Like if this happens, then I'm gonna leave. Like I do it still feels foreign, but I guess that's why we do baby steps. Like
Yeah.
maybe we just start with a small thing. But I think for me, when thought I've set boundaries in the past, it has been not me actually stating it out. Like, hey, if this happens, this is what I'm going to end up doing. I've never set a boundary that way. It's always like, hey, this is what I would like you to do. And then I think that's my boundary.
Oh, right.
But that is not a boundary.
Well, but you also don't have to tell them that your boundary.
Yeah.
You can just create the boundary in your mind. If you love and respect them and they respect you, sure, but they might not even they don't even need to know it. Why do they, if they're abusive, why do they need to know it?
Well, yeah, abusive, but
Well, verbally abusive people are verbally abusive without knowing they're verbally abusive.
I know. I think it's more of like feeling walked all over that I experience, and I allow that to happen.
Oh,
Like
okay. So you,
like they do whatever they wanna do, and I'm just like, "Okay."
whatever you say. Okay, do you want to say some examples of good boundaries?
Yeah.
Um, so like if you continue to yell at me, I'm going to end this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, because again, like you said, that's just laying it all out.
Yeah.
Like, that's not manipulation, you're not forcing them to stop yelling. I'm not controlling them.
Mm-mm.
But you are explaining what access they will have to you if the yelling continues.
Yeah.
And then they can choose their behavior and you choose what you do and
Yeah.
your participation in that whole situation.
And I think you'd be surprised on how much better your relationships are when you're honest with who you are as a person and what you need.
Yeah. And I'm like thinking about it because I think the hard part is uh like people that won't get it, the people that will get upset. And
Mm.
that's where I shut down. My nervous system shuts down.
Yeah, and they're usually the people that are closest to us.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say. But
Ugh.
and it's sometimes the people that taught us how to be
Yeah.
on this
Yeah.
planet.
But
Yeah, that
the boundary is not a punishment, so for
yeah,
that other person either. Like, a boundary should not be disguised as a like, like, I feel like other people could take it like a punishment maybe,
yeah,
but, and it's also not like, "I'm gonna teach you how to treat me," kinda thing. It's just, oh gosh, it's like, this is what I need for myself to be safe, to be healthy, to live in integrity, to not abandon myself.
hmm,
And then you do that for you. That's the only thing you control is yourself.
yeah.
So,
I like where I'd love to go back in time to little us and to see when all of a sudden we were like, oh, we can't speak up. We
mm,
can't have a boundary because like I'd love to know like where did that shift cuz I think I've talked about this before. All the little girls in my life like let's just say like 7 and under. And I just met another little girl the other day that's now Levi's like buddy. He has all these like alpha little girls and they have no problem giving a boundary.
well, then
It's
I wonder too, is it like, how are their parents? Like, I think also, like, people even my mom, like, says things to me, but then acts a different way, or like,
yeah,
what is being modeled to us? Because as little kids, up until the age of like 8 years old, everything is going into our subconscious mind. Like, we have no like frontal cortex mind, like critical thinking mind, like, oh, that person, must have whatever. We can't like kind of discern like some of these things.
logic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just like taking it all in and taking it all in. And
Mhm.
then it just becomes whatever it becomes in our subconscious mind.
Yeah.
So I feel like when we see the people around us not setting boundaries, that's what we learned we're supposed to do.
That's so true. It's yeah, how it's like when the studies that say that like mothers that exercise like they'll raise like kids that exercise, right?
Yeah.
It's not forcing your kids to do every sport. It's you prioritizing yourself, knowing that like you deserve to eat, you deserve to work out, you deserve to sleep. Like all those things are important for your own safe, like your own, I don't know, just life to live on this
that you
planet.
matter, you're worth it. Like
Yeah.
you need these things.
Yeah. So like if like for my son, he knows like I will always eat, and like he does not jeopardize when I eat. Like we eat breakfast together, like, and I always work out and I always move my body, and that does not change, and he does not change that. So I feel like those are good things, but I also want to teach him. But there's also the subconscious things that we have not healed in ourselves. They will be put on us they will be put onto our children.
Yeah.
It's such a good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, for sure.
So what else?
Yeah.
Let's talk about, so a consequence is not supposed to make the other person suffer enough to finally obey us. Like when we say, when you, like, it's like not a threat. It's just like, it is the action required to uphold the boundary. It's following through with our word. It's having integrity. It's if I say I will leave a conversation with when name calling begins, leaving is not the revenge. It's not silent treatment. It's not stonewalling. It is like, I'm enforcing my boundary.
Yeah. And the consequence should always be something within your control. Like you can't be like, if you yell at me again, you're going to have to go to therapy, because that you can't control if the other person goes to therapy.
Yeah. I didn't know that when I was younger. I remember like an ex-boyfriend, and I was like, I will stay with you if you get therapy.
Oh.
But that was super fun. Like what a weird, like I was like in my 20s, and then he went like once and he never changed. And I was like, but I never thought I was the one that needed to change.
Yeah.
Right?
It's never us.
Well, now I don't like,
no.
Now it's like, totally different.
It's always us.
But
anyways.
Well, I feel like that, like there was a time in my life, there was somebody who is very close to me. We were having a hard time communicating. And I said, I would love it to be able to communicate with you. I think we need to bring a therapist in so we can have a third party. And of course that person denied that. But but regardless, like I just needed an extra, it wasn't a boundary. It was like, I love you so much. I need help with this communication. So like, I guess that's not a boundary. That's like, that's more of like a request, I guess.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Right. It's all about like the language that we use, right?
Yeah.
So
I also want to talk about overexplaining.
Oh, I am so glad we're talking about this. I've actually I want to do a whole podcast on this freaking word.
It's a big one.
Yeah. So because people pleasers are incredibly talented at turning one sentence into a closing argument. And so instead of saying, I'm not available tonight, we say, I've had a really busy week and I didn't sleep on Tuesday and I need to go get groceries and my dog looked emotionally fragile this morning. And
my sister is like, she's a queen over-explainer, man. She'll go on for days.
Yeah. I mean, I feel I have actually been actively like, I don't remember when, maybe it was you, like, I forget who, somebody texted me, do you want to do something? And I was like, going to give them literally a diatribe, like a whole paragraph on all the, and all the ins and outs of maybe or yes or no. I didn't know. But I was like, I stopped myself because I'm like, that's extra energy for them. They don't need to be invested in it.
Yeah. I mean, we keep adding information because we're hoping to reach that magical point where the other person can no longer be disappointed. Like it all comes down to like so much worrying about disappointing the other person that we just go on and on for days over explaining and clarifying everything, to think that we're being like so respectful and like touching every point out to why. It's just, it's a lot.
It's too much. And I don't think we realize how much energy we lose and we take up by over-explaining.
Yeah.
It takes years of our life, I bet, over time. And so the problem is that over-explaining can actually run into instead of like a boundary, it turns into like more of a good negotiation. So the more reasons we give, the more material and abusive, this is important, an unsafe person has to debate. Because if I know, like, I know Jen is an over-explainer. She knows I'm an over-explainer. She's going to hear my no in there.
Yeah.
Because you're safe to me. You're going to hear, like, you're going to hear my no and I'm going to hear your no. And I'm not going to ask a lot of questions. But like a non-safe person, they might be like, well, you can get groceries tomorrow. You don't look tired. Oh,
So rude. That's so rude of
so
the other person.
rude. You went out with someone last week.
God, did you not hear my no?
Listen to my no in between the 50 sentences in between. So yeah, suddenly you're defending our keys like in the Supreme Court, like of other people's opinions. So like,
and a boundary does not become valid only after another person agrees that your reason is good enough. Like your reason is good enough because you said so. Like you can be kind and direct. Like you don't have to overexplain or, thank you for inviting me and say all these things because you're so worried about how uncomfortable the other person might feel. Like we are such sweet people that we worry so much about the other person instead of worrying about ourselves. And that's where it can create so much nervous system dysregulation because we're doing all of this in our mind, overthinking, over explaining, where I don't know if you feel it, but that I feel the tension in my chest, like as all of this comes up. Like it's insane. It's not even just in your mind, it's also in your body that's becoming dysregulated as we're having a hard time setting boundaries or the people pleasing or the over explaining, all of it.
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up too. Like the whole, what does it feel like in your body?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just give the people a challenge today. Like, go ahead, do your over explaining, but while you're doing it, check in.
Yeah.
What's my breathing doing? Huh? What's my shoulders doing? Are they up in my ears? Like, am I crunching my fists into a ball? Like, what is your body doing?
What do you feel in your chest, in your stomach?
Yes.
Yeah.
So pay attention to that. So, let's try to distinguish too, like when an explanation is appropriate. So we're not saying like explaining yourself is always unhealthy, I guess, but context can create closeness in some way. So in a safe, like I said, safe reciprocal relationship, explaining your needs can help another person understand you. But you want to ask yourself, the question is, why am I explaining?
Yeah.
Because they don't have to get it. It can just be yours to choose to do, right?
Yeah. I mean, am I explaining because I'm afraid I'm not allowed to make this decision unless the other person approves?
Yeah.
And a lot of times we are looking for that approval. We're looking for that okay, like that decision that you want or that thing you want or whatever it is. A lot of us are looking for that approval. And when we get it, it's like, oh, okay. But like we need to give ourselves that approval. Like it's interesting that we want it from somebody else and we're so worried about being misunderstood that then all of these other things happen, the over explaining all of
I
all of it.
know.
Yeah.
I know. A helpful explanation kind of like clarifies, but like over explaining usually comes from anxiety and it gets more frantic. And I actually just had like this thing came in my mind. When I was so my son, we just signed my son up for martial arts this week. And when I was in there, I realized how bad my anxiety really is, like in groups. And then when I have like one person talking to me and giving me directions, and it happened twice in that day, I had to get my Florida license and I was in the tax collector's office, whatever that means. But I was in there and I had to do the eye test. And like my anxiety was so bad that like I was reading the letters and I said a number.
Interesting.
But because like I was offline. Do you know what I mean? Like I was like completely dysregulated. And I was thinking about when I was in the martial arts place, like one of the salespeople was like talking to me. And all I wanted to do was watch Levi. Totally abandoned myself. Still let him talk to me. Like I'm reason I'm telling you this is like, like I'm still living in it. But the really cool thing about that day and those two experiences, for the first time, maybe ever, I was like, whoa, that was anxiety. Like that was me abandoning myself. Like I really fully observed what I wasn't okay with and what I felt. Like I could have just said thank you very much and walked away, but I sat in that freaking and I let him talk to me. And like there was one point Levi couldn't find me.
Oh God.
Oh, so yeah, whatever. But like I just think about that and like I didn't even explain to anybody. I just like was panicking in my head. But if I was more in my body, I would have said thank you for explaining all this stuff to me, the salesperson, and just said, I'm going to go watch my son now.
Yeah.
And like, but I didn't do that.
I I'm glad you bring that up because I feel like we are like living in our minds
Yeah.
so much and disconnected from our bodies where if we were to do, even just some breathe, like let's say you're in front of somebody, even if you take some deep breaths or kind of like orient in the room or
Yeah.
whatnot, kind of getting yourselves out of your head and back into your body, then you can actually make more regulated decisions.
And not
Like
say a number instead of a
yeah,
letter.
and, of course, the most important thing is your son, so you'd be like, "Hey, bud, nice meeting you, I'm gonna go get my son," and we can do it from a place of not like, "Ah, get out of my face, I'm gonna go get my
Yeah.
son,"
Yeah.
because that's what happens when we're in our head all the time, it's like we need to get out of our head, into our body, so we can live a regulated freaking life.
Yes. And like I've done so much work on myself that I'm proud to say that I could observe it and even
Yeah.
observe it real time and think like in the thick of it. I remember when he was like this guy was talking to me and it was so hot in there and I'm thinking, yep, you're doing this right now. You're doing
But isn't
this.
that interesting too? Because I feel like that's kind of where I'm stuck
Yeah.
is like I can observe it and see it happening. And I'm like, oh, look at you. Like, isn't that
Look at that.
interesting?
Look at me go.
How about you do something different? So the next thing is actually doing the thing
Yeah.
you want to do. And that's kind of, I'm in this like stuck space,
But I think we do
working on
it and we're just okay, there's been so much growth between the both of us. I'm sure there's times throughout the day that we do stay in our body and make a regulated decision, more so than we did 10 years ago. But we're remembering the big moments. We're remembering these moments where we don't.
Yeah.
And we obviously, you can't be hard on yourself. That's like the worst thing for you. So,
Yeah.
like, yes, we're working towards always being regulated, but that's
No,
probably
it's not.
impossible.
You're never going to always be regulated. But like you said, observing when you aren't and then changing something.
Yeah.
And another big thing that I think we need to talk about is feeling responsible for other people's feelings because this is where accountability becomes important. Like we are responsible for communicating respectfully, honestly, and clearly. We are not responsible for preventing another adult from ever feeling disappointment, frustration, sadness, or anger. And honestly, when we do something that creates a feeling in them, I am trying to fully embody this. Like, I'm aware that that emotion that's invoked in the other person is actually good for them. Like,
Yeah.
they need to be aware of, like, ooh, you did that. And I feel pissed off right now. Like, what about that made me so pissed off? Like, granted, not everybody is aware of all of this. And I think my wanting to control so much has impacted my life a lot where it's not my responsibility ability to control their feelings, like almost that it's a good thing for them to feel their feelings.
Yeah, because if they weren't, and you said adult, but I also think for children,
Yeah.
like my son has every right to feel sad when I drop him off at school because we're going to be separated. That he has all the right in the world to have those feelings. I
Yeah.
cannot take that away from him, that sadness. I cannot change it. I can support around it, but I can't tell him to not feel it. And I think that's what I don't know how you were raised in this regard, but I think that's how I was raised to like not be allowed to feel the quote unquote bad feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're going to be angry, hide away. If you're going to be sad, don't share it with others. Like that's what it feels like, those big sad feelings. That's why I think I have a hard time crying
Yeah.
because I it was not that it was just maybe even like a subconscious thing in my home of like not being.
Did you not cry much as a kid?
I don't know I honestly don't know when it shifted. I think for me, it's the inability to control now. I think it probably is worse since Derek died. Like there was a switch in my brain of like keeping in control.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know the answer to that. I think I cried like normally, but I think if I cried a lot at night
Mm.
by myself.
Okay.
Um, if I remember a lot of tears at night.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know like fully how much compared to other kids. So I don't know. What about you?
Um, I think I did cry a lot. I was very, like, emotional. Like, if like, a tone of voice would make me cry.
That's how Levi is too.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Very sensitive people.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was very sensitive. I
And
probably still am very sensitive.
and honestly, like, it is really hard raising sensitive children.
Mm,
Um, take it for I mean, like, as a parent of a very highly sensitive child, and then I was so sensitive. I was sensitive to everything, emotions, physical things, like, all of the things, people's energy. I also feel like I saw ghosts as a kid, so there's that. Like, I was
my
just
god.
sensitive, but, it was probably not easy to raise me,
Yeah,
and I can, like, I can understand that,
yeah,
but
that's interesting.
I know it is. Anyways, um
Tangent.
yeah, so we're talking about responsibility for other people's feelings.
Yeah,
We got off track, but
yeah,
I don't, the other person is responsible for what they do with their emotions. I think that's like a key point. So feeling hurt does not automatically mean someone has harmed you. That's another thing that
mhm,
is interesting. Like if somebody sets a boundary and it hurts your feelings, you don't have to be the victim in it.
yeah,
And feeling disappointed does not automatically mean someone has wronged you or harmed you or even wants, like, they're not saying they don't want to be friends with you or want to be in your life. If
yeah,
that's what you hear, you need to go speak to a therapist. Seriously. Like, you need to go talk to a supported person. Like, when so and so made this boundary with me, I felt abandoned.
yeah,
That's oh my God, thank you for I'm so glad you had that realization, right? Like instead of being like, well, they did this to me, it's like, no, I felt abandoned when that puts it back on you, it
yeah.
puts it on your own journey.
And at the certification course I did in South Florida, I came to a realization when I was talking to a woman that she was like a somatic healer. Like there was something about her energy where I felt so safe. And I what was I was just talking to her about something she said and then about my MS issues and I like just started crying and I was like, "Oh
Oh.
my god, I'm so sorry I'm crying." But she was so just like holding this space and then I realized as I was crying it had nothing to do with her. Like, she didn't make me cry, and I think in the past, like, I would never wanna cry because my mother would cry quite easily in conversations, and I almost felt like I had done something bad to make her cry. So, it actually opened up to me, like, this other woman did absolutely nothing. She was, like, giving me all this loving energy, and I was crying. So, crying had nothing to do with, like, the other person doing something wrong, which I think had grown up thinking that I had done something wrong. There was something wrong with me to make the other person cry. So I was like, wow, I'm so glad that she gave me that lesson. Like, I
Mm.
mean, it's okay to cry and it has nothing to do with me when somebody else cries sometimes. Like,
Well, it's very childlike to say, you hurt my feelings.
yeah,
Okay, so so when that's an adult saying that essentially is like, you made me, like Levi would be like, you made me sad or you made me feel this way. And it's like,
ooh,
that's a very childlike. So the people that are walking around teaching us as children are childlike.
yeah.
They stopped emotionally um
Or
growing.
even us as kids and we hear other kids say that,
Hmm.
we may take that like the as truth. Like that goes into our subconscious mind like I made that person cry. It might not even be our parents that taught us that. It could have been somebody else, a movie show or like something random. Like we're just taking it all in as
That's true.
kids.
I mean, some of these Disney movies,
Yeah.
guys, toxic waste for children of like the damsel in distress or the
Yes.
you need to be saved. I mean, also they like always are weirdly, like who's the one Snow White was sleeping and the prince kissed her? Like that's not consent.
I
I mean, there's a lot of like abandoning yourself
Yeah. Oh
for the
yeah.
man, for
Yeah.
a prince, and not sharing. Like, and then like Cinderella's like, he doesn't recognize her because she doesn't have fucking makeup on
Oh my god.
and a pretty dress. Like, how dare this guy? Like, it's just like us molding and bending to, I mean, in these situations, like men, but
Oh my
anyway.
god.
Okay, I know you hate when I do that, but I'm just saying, like, we watched it as kids,
Yeah.
like how that we need to be, like flex and mold ourselves and contort ourselves to other people.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I did want to touch on because Mel, you shared with me this guy on Instagram, and his video was actually really good on
Oh, I love him
boundaries.
so much.
His name's Chris Lee, and he talks about this stuff, and I was like, God, it's so powerful. He
Yeah.
like embodies it all, and he's like a transformational coach and whatnot. So he like has a framework on accountability, and it's pretty interesting. So I wanted to share that with you, where he talks about responsibility and blame and how they're not the same thing. So,
Mm. Mm.
responsibility asks, what power do I have here? What am I continuing to participate in? What have I communicated? Where have I failed to follow through? What action is available to me now? These questions, they move us out of like that helplessness and
Victim.
yeah, and the excuses that we might have. So,
But without excusing someone else's behavior.
yes,
Right. Like we
yes,
don't have to like accept, right?
yes.
Yeah, his broader framework for handling a breakdown includes acknowledging what is happening, taking responsibility, identifying what is missing, forgiving ourselves and others, and creating a new commitment and making an action plan, which is
Yeah.
really helpful, especially when it's nice when we have these things in place so it can just be habitual because people like us who like get into our minds too much, we
Mhm.
need like muscle memory
Yeah.
and yeah, so this fits boundaries beautifully. A boundary without an action plan is often just a repeated request.
Mm.
And you get more resentful as your boundary is crossed over and over again. And to like, I was just listening about like Pisces and how Pisces, like, if they don't feel heard, they just cut the person off. Like, they're just like, fuck it. Like, I'm just done. And that's how I've done operate in the past because I'm like, if you cannot understand what I'm trying to say to you and you don't hear my boundary in this, then like, I cannot keep on moving forward. And that creates resentment. Now, I don't think that's always healthy when you just completely are like, I'm done.
Yeah.
But,
I like the accountability piece
yeah.
because, you know, maybe we need clarity, maybe we need courage, maybe we need to communicate the boundary in a different way or enforce it differently. Maybe you keep threatening the consequence you were willing or able to carry out. Like it comes down to me actually holding that boundary and enforcing it. Like I am the only one that can change my circumstances or something I want. If I want a situation a different way, nobody's going to do it for me.
Yeah.
I have to do it for myself. And that, again, is that self abandonment piece that I'm working through because I say I want something a certain way, but then I keep just letting it not be what I say I want it to be. So it's like I have to be the one that makes it different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, you're really like, you're taking like that victim mentality completely out of the situation, which is like comfortable. It's comfortable for me. I'm going to be honest about like being the victim of something. And, but like you're driving home the fact that like we do have control over these things. Yes, our nervous system may like go crazy, but we can always center ourselves and bring ourselves back to like what enforcing a boundary, enforcing what we want.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
we should just talk about like a simple boundary formula before we close out this
Okay.
episode. And so here's the simple formula. So when this happens, I will do this. When yelling begins, I will end the conversation. When plans are repeatedly changed at the last minute, I will stop rearranging my schedule. When conversations about my body begin, I will change the subject or leave. You're just saying, if this happens, this is what I'm going to do. I do feel like a lot of people change their plans last minute. But then guess whose choice it is to decide if they're going to continue to make plans with that person in that particular way.
Yeah. So you can also use I'm available for this, I'm not available for that. I'm available to talk when we both are calm, but I'm not available to be insulted or abused. I'm available to help for 1 hour. I'm not available to take over the entire project. I'm available to listen. I'm not available to be blamed for fixing everything. It's like concise words, it's clear. It's, I guess, again, living in your integrity, like knowing yourself well enough to be able to articulate these boundaries and you don't
Yeah.
have to like again you don't have to over explain yourself. It can be super simple.
No. So the main takeaway is that a boundary is not about controlling somebody else, even though that's what I would love to do all the time. It's about becoming clear on what you will do when something is no longer healthy or acceptable for you.
Yes, you are responsible for expressing yourself respectfully. You're responsible for your choices, your behavior, your follow through. Definitely your follow through, like Dr. Jen said. You're not responsible for making sure everyone approves of your decisions.
Yeah.
It's
And
so,
other adults are allowed to have feelings about your boundary. That's none of your business. They're allowed to feel disappointed. That's none of your business. They are allowed to disagree with you. That's none of your business either.
yeah.
And they are responsible for how they decide to manage their own feelings.
Yikesies. Yeah,
All of that is none of your business.
it's none of your business. Yeah, a boundary without follow through though is just becomes a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even taken. And I feel like without the follow through, you lose integrity. You lose the fact that like the respect too.
Yeah.
So a consequence without action becomes a threat. But a clear boundary that you are willing to uphold becomes an act of self-trust, and the person starts to trust you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
I
like
just
that.
feel like the times I've set boundaries with people, healthy boundaries, it helps our relationship.
Yeah. So before you have another exhausting conversation, ask yourself, what am I requesting that what am I requesting that this person change? What part of this can I control within myself? Because that's the only thing you can control is yourself. So, and am I prepared to accept the consequences of following through with this boundary that I set?
That's hard too. I mean, we didn't even talk about that whole doozy, but anyways,
There's so many pieces to
there's
this
so many
boundary
pieces.
thing.
Yeah, because the goal of a boundary is not to make another person behave perfectly because they're human and we care about people. The goal is to stop abandoning yourself when they don't.
Yeah. And sometimes the most powerful boundary is not another explanation that we love to do. It is the quiet decision to honor what you already know.
Yeah.
So honor yourselves, ladies.
Yeah, let's I don't know. Let's create some boundaries, bitches.
We'll all work on it together.
Yes.
It is like a what's the word? Like a oh my god, my brain stopped working. It's like a almost like a path that you're wearing down. You have to keep doing these things
Oh, exactly.
over and over and over again until the path gets bigger
Yep.
because you do it so much and then it becomes easier and the path is smoother and wider and then you're just riding rollerblades down this path because you're having so much fun.
Oh, yeah. That sounds so we'll be 85 years old. Finally learned how to create a boundary. No, just
I know.
kidding. No, I mean, we're obviously this is unfiltered. Like Gut Feelings Life Unfiltered is very candid. We are going to talk about the stuff that we're going through, the stuff that we learned along the way, the stuff that we've learned from other practitioners. We don't claim to know everything, but I feel like as your podcast host and potentially coach, we are people that have been through it and that can help guide you through it,
Yeah.
right? So it's a we're work in progress
Let's
too.
all do it together.
Let's do it.
Support each other. This
Yeah.
is important.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for listening. This was a fun one.
See you next
All right,
time.
bye.
Bye.